that knows who they are, knows where they're going, and also knows how they're going to get there. A lot of companies do really well in the beginning. They might hit a stride. They've got a kind of a breakthrough type product, something really cool to do to the market. But if they don't really know foundationally what they did to get there, they don't know what they have to do to stay there or to continue to go to the next level, right? And so everything has to be grounded in something that matters. Everything has to be grounded in something that's bigger than just some anti-aging treatment. And I think Nerium has that nailed. The three pillars for us are, first of all, authenticity, character, and our ripple. When you found your company on a word real, that's a pretty bold thing to do. You better be able to back that up, right? If you're going to go out to the masses and say, we're real, we have a real opportunity, we have a real program, we have a real product, we have real results, we have real success, you better be banking that you're going to have that, or that you already do. And so I think that sends a message to the masses that, hey, we're in this for the long haul, we know exactly who we are, we don't need smoke and mirrors, we don't need to entice people to do things, we don't need to convince people to do something, because what we have is enough. And when I was first starting, I was hearing stories about a lot of different network marketers that wanted to come to Nerium. People who are maybe lifetime network marketers had been really successful in another company or done things like that, and they come over and they, okay, well, what's Jeff going to do for me? Like, I have all this history, I've got all these great, skills. I'm willing to look at Nerium. What's Jeff going to give me? And my answer used to be nothing, because we don't have to. Because our opportunity is what you get. Our comp plan is what you get. Our product and being part of building this global brand is what you get. What are you going to bring to us? Equivalent to going shopping for a BMW. Most times when you go to the BMW dealership, they don't dick it on the sticker. Because they don't have to. Because when you go to the BMW dealership, you're looking for a BMW. You're not trying to decide, do I want a BMW or a Honda? You want a BMW. You want the quality. You want the name. You want the insurance. You want the guarantee, right? It's the same kind of thing with Nerium. We don't have to offer a bunch of things because we're a real company. And our core values, they're in your planner if you don't have them. And I always talk about my favorite one is number 5, which is be determined. And it just says here, in our business, it's important to stay the course. Our outlook is such that obstacles are only opportunities in disguise. And if you can really internalize that, how much easier your business is. Obstacles are only opportunities in disguise. And be determined. I was reading recently in a book, and they were talking about hardships and setbacks and obstacles and how necessary they are to your success. Because if you don't face them, you never really exercise those self-confidence muscles, if you will, or build those self-confidence skills, because you don't ever have the opportunity. Think about it. People that are, you can probably think of someone you know or someone in society that maybe was born into great, circumstances. I think of somebody like, for example, this is my, I read a lot of Us magazines, so this is my, like Lindsay Lohan, right? She's doing really well as a child. Everything gets handed to her. People are, are telling her what to do, what to wear, where to go, feeding her, doing all this stuff. And then she gets in a situation where she has to make some of her own choices, and she fails because she doesn't know how to maneuver all of that territory. And then she just, has a breakdown, right? Whereas somebody who starts the other way with hardships, that has to fight for every dollar, that has to, get a job when they're early, that has to go through all these hardships and face, and overcome things in their life, they have a better success story because they used everything along the way to get them where they're at. Does that make sense? And so in our business, it's the same thing. If everybody said yes, how easy would you think this business was? How hard would you really work it? How much would it mean to you to get to the top when all you had to do was show up to get there? But if you're having to get in the trenches and do the work and hear the no's and all of that, we talk about it all the time, but the difference between a director and an NMD is one thing. And that is that the NMD continued to do what it took to get him to direct. Continue to do it for a longer period of time, whereas a person who sat at director stopped doing it at some point. Quit getting bottles out, or whatever, heard too many no's. The NMD heard way more no's than the director, didn't they? Of course I did. So the values are important, so I encourage you to read those in your success planner. My personal one just happens to be determined. And then the ripple. The longer I'm in this company, the more I understand how powerful this is. I don't know if any of you guys have been involved in any other companies like this, or maybe at your other job if you have one, but what we are building here is so much more important than getting rid of wrinkles. Not only shifting the paradigm of the industry and showing society that you can build a company the right way and still be successful, but also the impact we're having on Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the impact we're having on every individual life that we touch, whether as a customer or brand partner, the impact we're having on the happiness movement and the whole positive psychology of, with Live Happy and all that, the impact that we're having by having all these people introduced to the slight edge philosophy, the impact we're having on families, the impact we're having on self-confidence. It's such a huge ripple, and we're just getting started. So you can be proud of that. What about all of the money that we're contributing back to the cancer research and the biotech company? What about all the great things that they're going to be able to do because they don't have to spend any time fundraising? You guys are the contributor to that. You guys are the ones that get to lay your head down at night and say, I was part of that. I contributed to that. I built that. I was there in the beginning. Every time I heard no, there's a yes rippling out somewhere else. There's a positive happening out somewhere else because I'm spreading the word. That's huge. So, creating leveraged income with Nerium. So, it's so funny to me. Sometimes we hear things like, oh, is that a pyramid? Anybody? Right? Oh, don't get involved with those pyramid schemes. It cracks me up, actually, because it's so opposite. If you don't understand leveraged income, it's probably because someone is leveraging you. And that's just the way it is. If you only have 5 hours of work, or 5 hours a week that you can put into your business, most people have other jobs, other hobbies, kids, things that take up their time, right? So let's just say that you have 5 hours a week that you can consistently put into your Nerium business, right? That means you're going to get 5 hours of work done at pretty much any other job, right? You're going to get paid for 5 hours of work. You're going to get paid for your time. But what if you were in a business like this and you understood the value of leveraged income and you helped 5 friends each find that 5 hours a week? So now you're still doing your 1 hour a day basically, but you're getting compensated for 25 hours worth of work. And you help 5 more friends, 5 friends. Now you're getting compensated for 125 hours of work. And you're still only working 5 hours yourself. For 155 hours per week. Is there any other business, any other industry that offers that? Because the corporate way is you get paid for your time. This way is you get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. You get paid for the value you bring to the table at Nerium. And if you do your job right, and you share the experience, you share the bottle, and you coach your people to do the same, you're going to be making a lot more than 155 hours for every hour that you put in. This is the problem with it, though. It's not instant. It's not overnight. How many of you guys have been doing this for a few months, and you're like, man, seriously, when is this going to take off? Like, I believe it, but dang. Right? I feel like I'm working a lot harder than I'm actually making. I think I'm making about 14 cents an hour right now. Okay? Yeah? You're laughing because it's true. I know myself as well. When I came on board, I was like, I told you I put my head down, I signed a bunch of people, and my first paycheck for November of last year, the month end, was like $250. And I was like, wait, what? I thought it was going to be a lot more than that. I kind of had done the math in my head, and I thought it was going to be like $2,500. So I called Anna, and I was like, dude, what's wrong here? I think they're missing some zeros on the check. She started laughing. She's like, I know how you feel because when I started, I felt the same way. And I called Mark Smith. She goes, and then when I told Mark Smith my story, he started laughing. He said, I know how you feel because when I got my first check, I called Jeff Wilson. Because it takes a little while for it to ramp up. So in the beginning, you're going to be putting in 90% of your time and getting 10% of the return. And if you can understand this and believe it, you're going to be much better off. So 10% of the money. That doesn't mean you're only going to make 10% of, your 10% of the money could be 10% of $100,000. It could be 10% of $1 million. but 10% of what you're going to get, right? So 90% of your time for 10% of the money. So if you're making 14 cents an hour right now, just know that you're going to be up to $1.40 before you know it. Okay? So year 2, it switches a little bit. Now we're 75-25. Okay, it's a little better. It's still not even. Still feels like you're working harder than what you're making. Year 3, we're about half and half. Now you feel like what you're putting into it is equal to what you're getting out of it. Unfortunately, most of the time, right in here is where people quit. Is where people decide it's not working. Or people decide I'm not good at this. Or this company isn't going to benefit me. Right before, if they would stick it out, the curve goes way up. In year 5, you're working 10% of the time and making 90% of the money. And what I want you to know is I'm not saying it's going to take you 5 years to make money. You can definitely do some time compression. You can work more than an hour a day and time compress. You can find a couple of real rock stars and time compress. Your company can go international and you can time compress. But in general, for a healthy company in this industry, this is what the time money curve looks like. So as long as you know that, then when you're getting that $200 paycheck in the beginning, you're not devastated by it. And incidentally, month 1 was $250. Month 2 was $875, then it was $1,600, then it was $3,000, then it was $4,500, and so on. So it went really quickly. Oh, I think I just said that. This is an actual brand partner month-end check, and remember, this doesn't count your weeklies. This is just your month-end residual check. 222 in the beginning of September 11, and they were tracking to be making 6 figures within a year. And Anna showed me this slide. She snapshotted this to me when I called her, and I'm like thinking, oh sweet, I'm right on target. And when I got my second month and it was 800, I was like, oh, I am so nailing this. Like I'm moving this really quickly. But if you knew that if you continued the same behavior, the same 1 hour a day, 5 hours a week, and you stuck to it and you continued the same effort over a 12-month period, and you knew you were going to be making 6 figures by the end of the year, would you do it? The problem is, most people don't believe it. It's just like the slide I just talked about. It's so simple to do that it's just as easy not to do. Right here, when you're in the $700, $800 range, life happens. The brakes go out in the car. The kids are stressing you out. You have to move unexpectedly. You get a new job or whatever, and your Nerium business goes on the back burner. How many of you? I'm going to have to put this on the back burner for a little while because, I got to get a haircut today and I just don't really have time to do my Nerium business. Okay, so what keeps you in the game is your why. What keeps you in the game is what grounds you to this business. And this is really important, you guys. I want you to think about what keeps you up at night. What are the kinds of things that stress you out in your life right now? What are the things that you want more of in your life right now that currently doesn't exist or doesn't exist in enough quantity? What are the things that you want to be doing with your time? If you could write your own story of where you're going to be 5 years from now, what every moment's going to look like, what you're going to be doing with your time, who you're going to be with, where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing, what would that look like? And then what you do is you tether it to how Nerium can support that. How does Nerium fit into that? Is it freeing you up to do more of what you love? Maybe you're an artist and you just don't have any time to practice your craft. And if you had a Nerium business that could pay your bills for you, that would free you up to do your art. Maybe you like to travel, but you only have 2 weeks vacation at your job. So if you had enough money from Nerium, then you would be able to not only have the time to travel, but the money to do so. Because most of us are either time broke or money broke, and so many of us both. How can Nerium support you in that? Maybe your life looks great. Maybe everything you're sitting in right now is perfect. Well, who do you want to help get there too? How do you want to change the world then? How do you want to expand your footprint? How do you want to make a difference so that when you're gone, people will talk about how you inspired them, how you motivated them, how you touched them? That's your why. And if you're not clear about it, it's going to be really hard to stay grounded in this when you hear the no's. When that one prospect that you had, that you knew everybody in Canada, and as soon as they signed up, you were going to go right to NMB, and then all of a sudden, they aren't even returning your calls? Or that new brand partner that signed up, and she got the $1,000 kit, and she's so excited, and she can't wait, she needs more bottles, she can't even believe it, she's coming to the meeting on Friday, and then you never hear from her again? Oh, that doesn't happen in Kansas. Oh. Okay. What happens to me? When those things happen, if you're not grounded in your why, then you might not think this is for you. You might forget why you're doing this in the first place. It might all of a sudden become too much of a pain, or too hard, or not worth it. Right? So you have to know exactly why you're doing this. I know for myself personally, in the beginning, I didn't really have a why. I mean, I needed to make money. Let me just be clear. I just quit my job. I need to make money. I guess that's a why. But I quickly learned that once the money comes, then what? What keeps you going? And they might get mad at me for saying this, but there are some people in this business, like NMDs and beyond, they get their $25,000 bonus, they get comfortable in their lifestyle, and then guess what? They quit working. Which our comp plan lends itself, you can do that. That's your choice. But if you have a really strong why, once the money comes, there's something more there. It's because I want everyone around me to be comfortable in their life. I want everyone around me to have everything they want. I want everyone around me to feel how I feel about my life. And that can keep you going. You know, Mark Smith, who, let's just face it, he's making more than 14 cents an hour right now, I've heard. But he still works just as hard, if not harder, than he did on the first day. And why is that? Because he wants it for every single one of you in this room. And he has a definite chief aim, a global purpose. He's building a huge foundation for wounded soldiers. And he's got to shove a lot of money into it. He's got big plans for his life. And if he was working corporate America, he wouldn't have a chance of that. He wouldn't be able to affect as many people. And I know every single one of you in this room have been on one of his calls, watched one of his videos, or somehow has helped you, even indirectly, build your organization. And if he was camping out on the couch, rolling around in $100 bills, he could. But he's not, because he is grounded in his why. So, when you come on board, if you're new, I already asked you that. Okay, let's let this new people know. Your 2 objectives are to qualify for your 3-year free and to fast start qualify. That's it. And if all you ever do is get your 3, fast start qualify, and teach your people to do the same, you can go to the top of this comp plan. Forget about everything else. Everything in the comp plan, everything in our company revolves around this. Fast start qualifying. New people in, fast start qualifying. New people in, fast start qualifying. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay? So when you open up your business kit and you're overwhelmed with all the paperwork and the books and the CDs and all that, I just want you to remember my voice saying, all I need to focus on is fast start qualifying. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay? I'm going to narrow it down for you. I just said that. Focus on new brand partners and early momentum, and you will find the stars in your business, the people who show up at the meetings, the people who get on the calls, the people who ask the questions, the people who you don't have to track down because they're already tracking you down. It's going to be really easy to find the runners, and guess what? There aren't very many of them. If you're in a business right now and you've got 5 or 6 people on your team, maybe 10, and you're like, nobody's doing anything. Well, guess what? You're right on track. Yeah, keep going. When you get 50, you might have one. Okay? So, true. If everybody was a runner, this business wouldn't be what it is, right? If everybody got it, this business wouldn't be what it is. So you have to find those diamonds in the rough, and they're out there. And the funny part about it is you never know who they are. Because the one that you think that knows everybody, the person who's, who knows everything about skincare, or, lives in the great big house on the lake, and, everybody wants to, that's necessarily not the person who's going to be your runner. It's that quiet person that you met at, Target that was selling you a Yankee Doodle candle, and she barely even, spoke your name, but for some reason you were prompted to give her a magazine, and then she got on a call, and then she didn't really ask any questions at the market party, and the next thing you know, she shows up in your system, she's got a kit. She's your runner. It's interesting. You cannot judge potential. And so many times we try to do it. We all do it, don't we? We try to, this person's going to be great, and they're not. Or this person's not going to do much, they're not. So the best advice for you as a trainer is to treat them all exactly the same and let them show you who they are. You don't get to decide for them. So, fast start qualifying or directors. This is to get into the builder code. Fast start qualifying, for those of you who are new, means that you come on board and you sign up 3 brand partners at a success pack or a premier pack within your first 30 days. Your group volume will automatically be 2,000, and you will fast start qualify. If you miss that, or if you're sitting in this room right now and you missed that, you missed your 30-day window, you can get into the code when you hit director. It's just a little bit harder because now your group volume has to be 4,500. Is it doable? Of course it is. But it's important to note that, so if you miss the fast start qualifying, it's not like you miss out on it forever. However, we really encourage you to fast start qualify so you don't leave any money on the table, so you don't miss any opportunities. Okay? And it's important to note, your group volume has to be 2,000. So if you signed up at 1,000 and you signed up your friend at 1,000, and then you signed one at 500, you could sign one at the 99, for example, and still fast start qualify. But you can't come on board and sign 3 99s and fast start qualify. I just want to make that note. Oh, look, I'm getting ahead of myself. So there you go. See, look, I know this stuff. Okay. And as director, same thing. There's same 3 brand partners. You don't have to sign anymore. Your structure just needs to be the 3 personals. However, your group volume needs to be 4,500. So if you miss it in your first 30 days and the volume resets, which we'll talk about later, then it might be a little bit harder to get to that 4,500. You might have to sign up another person, or they might have to sign up somebody, or some bottles need to go out. Okay, so how do you get paid? These bonuses are paid every single week, every single Wednesday. I don't like this slide, just a second. Does it show what's next? I don't like the way that this is organized, so forgive me for a second during this part. I don't think this makes sense. But in order to be in the bonus code, you have to be an active senior brand partner, which means you have to be paid as a senior brand partner, which means you have 3 personally active legs. Okay? Then you're in the code forever. You don't go fall out of the code and into the code and out of the code. Once you're coded, you're coded. The difference is if you're not paid as a senior director, you won't get paid your code. But everybody that's coded to you is still always coded to you. Does that make sense? So your goal would be to always have 3 active, personally sponsored legs. Then you don't have anything to worry about. So, for example, let's just say that one of your people, takes off and goes to NMD, and they've got all kinds of stuff going on. Everyone is still coded to you that's in your leg. So even though you're a senior brand partner and this person below you is an NMD, they're still all coded to you. So it doesn't matter where you go personally. You could sit at senior brand partner for your entire career, and you're still getting those 250, 250, 250. And it pays through infinity. And this is the important part. And there's more slides about this later, so I'm not going to go into it. This is what's confusing me. I'm going to talk about this later. I don't like this. Did I say that already? Okay. So, first things first. You need to fast start qualify or hit director to get into the builder bonus code to qualify for those 250 bonuses. And there's a whole video on it. If you're new, write it down, nerium.com/builder bonus. If you miss fast start qualifying, get to director. If you never get to director and you miss fast start, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving a lot of money on the table, money that will pay you for the rest of your life. So whatever you got to do, fast start qualify and get to director. Okay, so let's talk about how building your business with your 8-point days. We have a rhythm here. We don't ask you to do a lot, but we do ask you to engage on a daily basis. And they call it our point system. And the cool part about that is they're going to tell you exactly what to do in your hour. So let's just say you have 1 hour a day that you can put into your Nerium business and you're committed to doing it consistently. That doesn't mean 5 hours on Sunday. It means 1 hour every day. You have to touch your business every day. If you treat it like a part-time hobby, it will pay you like a part-time hobby. Okay? If you bowl more than you work your business, you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay? 1 hour a day, every single day. And in that 1 hour a day, we're going to tell you exactly what to do. This is like network marketing for dummies. Okay? You don't even have to worry. You don't even have to wonder, what am I supposed to do now? So that's what these 8 points are. So the goal is, and as we go through this section, is to accumulate a minimum of 8 points a day. Okay? However you get your points is up to you. We're going to give you some activities. You pick and choose. minimum 8 points a day. And notice that she said minimum. If you want to time compress your income, then you're going to be doing more than 8 points. NMDs are doing more than 8 points. People that are on their 90-day run to St. Louis are doing more than 8 points. But you don't want to lay your head down at night without accumulating your 8 points. Okay? So, why we do it is so you can gauge your activity. You can really see the power of what a part-time business can build for you on a consistent basis, and it's duplicatable. So when you're looking out there for your brand partners to join your team, you can tell them exactly what to do in their hour, and they go, oh, okay, I can do that. Whereas everybody's doing the same thing the same way, so you can pick up your model and drop it down in any other country, and there's no fragmentation. If you were at this meeting right now that's going on all over the country, in Boise, in Seattle, in Jersey, in Colorado, everybody is getting the exact same information the exact same way. Although some of them are sleeping by now, I'm just saying, so you guys are So you're getting the exact same information. So it doesn't matter if you've got a friend that's in Florida and you want to send them to a regional, you know what information they're getting so that when you talk to them after, you know what they learned. Or if they go to a market party, you know what they just saw. So when they ask you questions, you know what they're referring to. That's how easy they make this. So here we go. This is in your success planner. Hopefully this isn't the first time you guys are seeing this, but this is what your points are. And we're going to go through each one of them and tell you how to do it. So we're looking for high payoff activities. They're given a value from 1 to 4 points. So right now, for each of you, just for being here, you get 3 points. Right? That's what I did. We got Kansas Seahawks are playing today. Okay, so conference calls. Right now, if you haven't already, get out your cell phone and text yourself the word REAL to 59769. The number's right there in the bubble. You text the word REAL to 59769. This will give you text reminders of all the corporate calls and new and pressing corporate information. If you don't do this, you might miss a call. But even more so, what I like is that I can just take that text. First of all, it's a good reminder. But also, you can just copy it and forward it to your new brand partner or somebody that you want to pop on that call. It's all the information there, the dial-in information, the name of it, and everything. And incidentally, all of the times are central. Oh, you guys are central too. So, you're lucky. You don't have to do any math. The Team Nerium calls are Sundays at 9 p.m. in your time zone. And it's so funny to me. People go, they feel like they have to wait till their time zone. That just means that it's on in all time zones pretty much all the time. So if you can't get on at 9 o'clock in Kansas, guess what? It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast, or it's 9 o'clock in Seattle, so you can get on pretty much any time after 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Nerium Universities, Mondays at 6. If Mondays don't work for you, and you're going to have a Nerium U party, do it on Tuesday. It's available for the whole week. You don't have to only do it at 6 p.m. on Monday. It's better to do it on Tuesday at noon, if that works for you, than to not do it at all. And I encourage you to do little Nerium U parties. Do you guys do a lot of those? Where you kind of have some friends over, maybe it's potluck, or maybe you rotate houses. It doesn't have to be a huge party. Maybe 3 or 4 of you sitting around the computer and watching the Nerium U. Because what that does is you can talk about it afterwards. It builds that camaraderie and that kind of team atmosphere. And it also holds you accountable. Because if you're hosting, guess what? You're doing it at 6 o'clock on Monday. You're watching. Those are really powerful to stay plugged in, because when we get out in society, sometimes, I don't know if this happens in Kansas, but sometimes people can be a little negative about what we do. When you get out into the real world, right out of this room, and you start talking about Nerium, sometimes people frown on that a little bit. It's so funny to me, I'm not interested. I'm always like, oh, okay, what exactly are you not interested in? Just curious. You're not interested in making money or trips or having good skin or meeting new people, or not interested in that? We'll have fun in traffic. Okay, so. But people can be a little bit negative when you get out of this little zone of your buddies, right? And when you get juiced up with your Nerium U, you remember, why I'm doing this. Oh, I am on the right track. Oh, this is something really exciting. I am onto something. I did get to the right place, right time, right company. And these are the kinds of things that remind you of that, just like bashes and any other thing where you're kind of immersed in the culture of Nerium. And if you don't, it's really easy to get off track, isn't it? Some of you in this room, I know it, have been if you've been in here any length of time, you've kind of skipped a few Nerium U's, maybe didn't got on a few calls, maybe took a vacation, you skipped a regional, and the next thing you know, you're like, I don't know if this is really working for me. How many? You don't have to raise your hand. I'll raise it for you. I see you. Right? if you continue to stay plugged in, the chances of that happening go down dramatically because you remember why we're all doing this. So these are important. And then corporate update calls as well. And if anybody calls me and asks me a question about something that was on a corporate call or at the Nerium or whatever, I always have the same answer. Do you remember what they said about that on the call? Oh, I wasn't on the call. Okay, well, good thing it's on replay. Go replay it. Got to teach them to fish, right? Because it's fine if you've only got one brand partner and you got to answer every little question, but what about when you have 10 brand partners, 20 brand partners, 200 brand partners? That's going to take up a lot of your time answering questions that they could have got from the corporate update calls, for example. So what I do is I have the number programmed in my phone. It's Nerium call, Team Nerium corporate call, and I have the PIN number saved as the alternate or something. On iPhone, there's another little line, but it's usually the word real, or sometimes they have live happy now. But make sure that you have that texted so you get your you get 1 point for those calls. Okay, not if you get on 3 calls on one day, you don't get 3 points. Nice try. For team calls, you get 1 point. Okay, emails, 1 point. You can't sit down to your computer and read 5 days worth of emails and be like, holla, I got myself 5 points, go. No, 1 point. The reason that the emails are important is because they make it so easy for you. If there's something you need to do, there's a link right on the email. You can click it. You don't even have to go figure out how to do it. The information is there. If it's important, they'll repeat it again in the next one. It has all kinds of things. And don't forget to register for BASH. The cost is going up, and here's what's going on with the day cream promotion and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you read your email. If you're not getting any emails, then you need to make sure you log into your profile and that you have clicked the box to receive corporate correspondence. Because sometimes, especially when you're new, you forget to do that, and you're not checked off the box that you will receive that. Another thing, if you're not getting them, is check your spam, because sometimes they go to spam with certain providers. If you're still not getting your emails, then you need to call corporate, because it's really important. You should be getting them, pretty much daily. I think they come in for something or another. Personal development. I love that this is worth points, because most people don't do this. I have a new brand partner, one of those dream brand partners you love that actually does everything that you want to do. She texted me, she's like, okay, I'm doing my Beautiful You coming out party. And I was like, what? You're going to do that? And she was texting me a little bit, she's like, well, I got to go because I got to get my 10 pages in before I go to bed. And I was like, yes. So they give you all kinds of things in your library, good choices of what to read. I definitely recommend starting with the Slide Edge. I mean, it's in there for a reason. They also have, some suggested reading. They have articles, interviews, all kinds of things. So 10 pages a day. It's one of those little disciplines that you might, kind of do begrudgingly in the beginning. It's like going to, getting on a treadmill for 15 minutes and you're like, I don't want to, but you know that if you do it, you're going to feel better about yourself. It's not like you're going to get on the treadmill for 15 minutes and all of a sudden you're like in your skinny jeans. It's not like you're going to read 10 pages of the magazine and the next thing you know you're in a D, but if you read it every single day, over time, you're inching your way to where you want to go, right? You're getting that one little nugget that changes your paradigm about what you're doing. That one little nugget that makes you go, oh, this is a new way to see things for me. This makes sense to me. This resonates in some way. If you don't ever spend any time reading, then you might not get those nuggets, and therefore your plan might not go where you want it to go. Promoting the product. The product prospecting system is how we generate interest. If you're not prospecting with bottles all the time, you're not following the system. The funny thing about the system is you can't just pick and choose which parts of it you want to follow. You can't say, well, I read 10 pages a day, every day, and I read all of the corporate emails, and I get on those calls, my business isn't going where I want to go. Well, how many bottles do you have out? Well, I don't have any bottles. Oh. Okay, so nobody's sampling your product right now. So you're not talking to a live person at all right now. So therefore, I see why things aren't going where you want to go. Make sure that you always have bottles out. If you don't have bottles, go all the way up your upline until you find some. I'm not saying you have to go reinvest, but find some. Because there are people that have bottles that they would be more than happy to give you to let you use for your prospects. Our product prospecting system is really simple. We have a 5-step thing. I think it's the next slide here. Yeah. In a success pack, and it does say times 4. Okay, so right now each bottle can probably go through about 6 people if you do it the right way. And I understand when you first get your bottles and you've only got 4, you are emotionally attached to these bottles, right? Because it's almost like handing your friend a $100 bill. You're like, you better use it. You better give it right back to me on Saturday, girl, or I am sending repo Pete. And you better like it and buy it and become my next rock star. Because I've only got 4. So I get it. And there's definitely some simple strategies that you can use to make sure that you get those bottles back. One of them being letting people know right up front, like, hey, I'm going to need this back. This is my business. These are my salespeople. If I don't get them back, if one of them goes MIA, I'm out of business. But when you're first starting with your first 4 bottles, for example, you're really working with your friends and family typically, right? People that you're first giving your bottles to are your friends and family, so you can be a little bit more direct with them and honest with them about, I need this back. And when I talk to people, I kind of make it sound like it's a privilege that they get the bottle. When I ask somebody if they're interested in trying it from me, I might say, hey, listen, have you ever heard of Nerium? No, you haven't? Shocker. Okay, well, it's that new one-step anti-aging treatment that everybody's talking about. Listen, if I could get you a bottle to try for a few days, would you use it for me? You know, take a before and after picture and give me your feedback? And nobody says no to that, first of all. Nobody says no to that. But do you see the way I said it? Like, if I could get you your hands on a bottle, if I could get a bottle to you, if I could work my magic and somehow get you a bottle, girl, even though I've got 12 of them in my car. Because then she thinks, oh, well, like, I get a bottle, okay? Or I might say, hey, yeah, totally, I can get, someone messages you, I want to try it. You put up a Facebook thing that says something about, message me for a free sample, right? We've done that. And someone messages you and says, yeah, I want a free sample. And I go, oh, totally, I'm excited. I can put you on my wait list. It might be a couple weeks before I can get you a sample because I'm out. Or if you want to, you could just order up a bottle and use it for 30 days. And if for whatever reason you don't love your results, we can get your money back. It's up to you. You want to have nice pictures for Valentine's Day, or do you want to look like a troll? I don't know. Okay. But the point is you make those bottles, they're coveted. Those are valuable, right? So you need to let them know up front, okay, I'm giving it to you for 5 days. I'm going to need to pick it up on Saturday. I know you're probably not going to want to give it back to me. You're going to love it, but I'm telling you up front, I already have people lined up to use it. So I'm slotting you in here for this 5-day window, but I really need to hook up with you and get it back on Saturday. Okay, is that a deal? Do we have a deal? Perfect, I'll drop it off to you today. And when I drop off the bottle, I'm also going to give you a tool, a magazine, or a video. And I'm just going to say, hey, I'm giving you this magazine, thumb through it. It's just going to talk a little bit about the product, how it works, why it works. You'll find it interesting. Or hey, I'm shooting you over a quick video too. It's going to talk about the product, how it works, why it works. You'll find it interesting. And then when you follow up, you're going to ask them what they thought of the video or the magazine or what they thought of the product. Now, notice that I don't say anything else. I'm not talking about the oleander. I'm not talking about the Lexus. I'm not talking about how it works. I'm letting the tool do all of that work. See how simple that is? First of all, I don't have time to sit down for 45 minutes and explain how everything works to someone. That's not duplicatable. Plus, that means that the people who are going to have the most success are the people who have some great sales skills, right? And maybe we don't. But everybody can hand a bottle in a magazine. Everybody can hand a bottle and shoot over a video via email, correct? So you want to make sure you're using the system. Even if you're the greatest salesperson, or even if you have tons of great information you want to share, I encourage you to hold it back. Mark Smith says, oh yeah, that tape that we train people on how to sell the product, it's called duct tape. Don't say anything, let the tool do it. So for each bottle in your success pack, you can go through about 24 prospects, and now you're giving them the day and the night cream together. The Premier Pack, 66. So you can see right there, the difference between the Success Pack and the Premier Pack, other than the $500, is speed. How fast do you want to grow? If you only have 4 bottles out at a time and you hear 3 no's, that means you get 1 customer, right? If you have 10 bottles out there and you hear 6 no's, you still have 4 customers in the same amount of time. Does that make sense? So it always comes down to budget, I get that, but if there's any way to figure it out, you always want to go with Success Pack, and you're still going to have a waiting list. You're still going to have a list of people who are waiting to try it. What I did when I started is I took all those little dots, those little circle stickers, like price tags or garage sale stickers or whatever, and I put them out on a big sheet of paper, and I put all the dots like this, and I wrote a name in each one of the dots. And those were the people that I wanted to prospect. Not people that I'd already talked to, but my lead list. Okay, Mary, my sister, Jenny, Susie, on and on until I filled them all up. And those were the first 66 people that I was intending to talk to about my business. So just an idea idea of how you can realize that, yeah, I do have somebody slated for each one of those slots. Okay? So other than promoting the product, you also are promoting the opportunity. And we call this a 2-a-day exposure. And it doesn't mean it has to be 2 new people every single day that you're working with, but somewhere in this funnel, somewhere in this process. So the first thing we do is peak interest. The most common way to peak interest is like on Facebook or something, right? And most people in here have Facebook? Oh, they have Facebook in Kansas. Yeah. Oh, well, there's only one person that has it, so I wasn't sure. One person there participating, thank you. Is this thing on? No, okay. Let me tell you, how many of you guys have Facebook? Okay. So we peak interest with Facebook. The most common way to do that is when you're brand new, is to put something up on your Facebook, and I prefer to have the person who sponsored you, like your upline, put it on for you. It says, I'm so excited to be working with you. I'm glad you chose to partner with Nerium International. That one-step skincare product that everybody is raving about. Message Lori if you want a free sample. And then I put up a before and after photo. If you don't have your own before and after photo, you can use one of the companies. Just go to the Nerium Facebook page, go to their photos, go to their real results, and just pick one. Put that up there too. And what happens is people will start seeing that most of the time, and to be honest, most of the time their friends will ignore the first one. They'll be like, somebody hacked your Facebook and said you're selling something. And I know you would never do that. Okay? Or they're just like looking at it, and you don't even know they're looking at it. And then I encourage them to put one up themselves maybe the next day. Another photo. Message me for a free sample with their website. And pretty soon, people are going to start messaging them. I'll try it. Free sample? Someone say free? I'll try it. You know what women will do for free. I have elbowed an 8-year-old for the last Otis Spunkmeyer at Costco, and I'm not kidding. I'm kind of proud of that, too, because it was the biggest one. But how many of you guys have gone to Lancome and you're walking by minding your own business and it's like bonus time and you're like, dang, I don't need anything. I guess I'll have to find something because I need that free lipstick that I'll never wear. Right? Am I the only one? Seriously, you guys do. Yeah, okay, thank you. So you're going to peak interest that way. Then the next thing is to use a third-party tool. I think it's a good idea, especially if you have limited bottles, to not give out the bottle right away. Especially on the Facebook thing. So my rhythm might be, okay, someone messaged you, I'll try a free sample. I'm like, awesome, have you ever heard of Nerium? No, I haven't. I've seen a couple of your posts. Perfect. I'm going to shoot you over this quick video that talks about how it works and why it works. I think you'll find it interesting. After you watch it, if you're still interested, let me know and I'll get you a bottle. So I make them watch the video first. And I see that they watched it, right? Because it shows up in my email system. And if they've gone through all the trouble to watch the video and email me back that they want the sample, then they get my sample. Okay, so a third-party tool. It might be a magazine. It might be a blitz call. It might be a market party or an RRP that you're going to. But something that takes them through the next phase of the process. So you peak interest, and all you're trying to do in that is get interest. Get permission to give them more information. Permission to have them look at something, right? Then you're going to use your third-party tool, and you're going to follow up. If you gave them a bottle, it's 5 days out, and you set up the time to follow up. If you gave them a video, then you're giving them 24 or 48 hours to watch it, you're going to follow up. Or if you see that they watched it, then you can follow up immediately. If they go to a party, the very next day, you're following up. Give me your feedback about what you heard last night. If any of you guys are in this room that went to any of our market parties this last week, Thursday or Friday, and you had a guest there, I highly encourage you to call that guest and say, hey, thanks for coming last night. It was great to see you. What was your feedback there? What did you like about what you heard? What did you think of what we got going on at Nerium? Okay, make sure you do that. Then you do your follow-up, and then, well, in this cycle, it's very easy, but then they sign up. It doesn't always work out that way, does it? But the key is the more people that you have in that process, in that cycle, the better off you are. So when it comes to 2 a day, you might be piquing interest with one and following up with another one, and that would count as your 2. Or you might be, getting a bottle from one and sending a video to one, and that would count as 2. It doesn't have to be 2 new people coming into your funnel every single day, but you definitely want to have a lot of people in that cycle, pushing them through. Does that make sense? And you're getting 2 points for that. Also, you want to make sure that your tools are labeled. This is really, really important. Make sure that you have your name, your phone number, your email, your website on your sticker. And that you put it clearly on your Success from Home, your Beautiful You, whatever tool you're using. Also put one on the actual bottle. You can put one on the box too, but make sure you have one on the bottle because a lot of times the box will go in the garbage. They do have some waterproof labels too if you want to use that. Put one, someone just told me recently to put the label on the CD in the magazine as well. You guys are all nodding. Okay, well I just did that, so apparently, good. Yes, I think that's a great idea. Put it on the CD as well. Most of the time people you never know where that magazine's going to end up, right? I always make it a habit to have some in my car, some tools and some bottles and stuff. I'm sure you do too. And every time I go to a doctor's appointment, I always make sure to leave one at the doctor's because everyone's tired of reading highlights, am I right? Okay, so let's read some beautiful you or something, right? Yeah, it's true. The dentist, the kid's dentist, whatever. Leaving your magazine, you never know where it's going to end up. Somebody might start reading it and take it with them. So if you have your label on it, or maybe you gave it to someone that works there and they just dumped it in the waiting room later when they were done with it and someone else picks it up. One of my friends, her daughter was at the doctor and texted her a picture of a Beautiful You magazine with her mom's information on it, but she didn't drop it off there. But someone else somehow or another did and had her label on it. It's kind of funny. Lead capture pages. How many of you guys use the lead capture page? Okay, a couple of you. Nobody's asking me for my opinion right now, but I'm going to give it. The only reason that I don't use the lead capture page is because if it were me, and I was going to look for information, and I had to fill a bunch of stuff out, I would just be like, forget it, and I wouldn't do it. But, that being said, they can be very powerful, because the people who will fill it out, you have all their access to their information, right? So it's kind of a toss-up, but it's also a little bit harder to remember for your customers. You can say, Sarah Nilsen at Nerium.com, I got that, but a real breakthrough or whatever. So it's kind of either way for you, but it's definitely works for people who use it. So I'm not trying to say don't use it. I'm just saying don't use it. No. I'm just kidding. Okay, so what these magazines can do for you, and think about how the company believes in magazines and tools so much that they're investing in them, right? I mean, it's a huge expense for the company. You know the company loses money on magazines. I mean, these are heavy, pricey to ship. They cost a lot of money per unit. But Jeff has done this in another company. He knows how powerful these tools are. Because the message never gets diluted. And if everybody's reading the same magazine, everybody gets the same information the same way. Whereas if everyone's telling their own version of the story, it's kind of like the telephone game. Right? By the time it gets to Kansas, for example, and it's like if you use Nerium 1 pump every day, then you're never going to have another wrinkle again, and da-da-da-da-da, your hair is going to grow, and you're going to get big boobs, and all kinds of stuff like that, right? Maybe that's Texas. I should say that in Texas. Arizona? No. Okay, so by having a magazine like that, then everybody gets the same information the same way, and somebody who's not as confident to tell the story of Nerium doesn't have to. So that's one reason why they're so powerful. So if you're getting out 2 a day, and you've got people on your team that are giving out 2 a day, now all of a sudden you can see that, wow, that's a lot of tools going out on your behalf, or that you're benefiting from the lead generation from